Question 11. Sean states, when a fair coin is tossed and a fair dice is thrown, the probability of getting a head and an even number is a half. Is Sean correct? You must show enough working to justify your answer. So this is a 4-mark question, and we need to say if Sean is correct or not, and we have to justify our answer. So we need to show enough clear workings to get all marks correct, and we must say whether Sean is correct or not. If we don't say that, we won't get full marks. So you may look at this and think that Sean is correct, because to get a head when you toss a coin, well, that's a 1 in 2 chance. And then to get an even number, you've got 3 even numbers out of 6, so that's a half as well. So you may be thinking, well, yes, it is a 1 in 2 chance. That's not the case. When you have 2 separate events happening, you need to do a sample space diagram. So you need to write all of your outcomes when you toss a coin. So we've got heads or tails, and I'm going to write that as an H or a T. And all of your options when you throw a fair dice. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. Those are the options that I could roll when I roll the dice. So I've got 2 events happening, 2 things, the coin and the dice, so I need to draw something that looks like this, a sample space diagram. So in each of these gaps is going to be an outcome that could happen. So here I could I could toss a head when I toss the coin, and I could get a 1 on the die. I could also have a tail and a 1, so that gives me 2 outcomes already. Those are 2 possible things that could happen. I could have a head and a 2, a head and a 3, a head and a 4, head and a 5, or a head and a 6, or I could have a tail and a 2, tail and a 3, tail and a 4, tail and a 5, and tail and a 6. So these are the things that could happen when I toss a coin and throw a dice at the same time. So she has said, she said that the probability of getting a head and an even number. So I'm looking for a head and an even number. So if I look at the outcomes that could happen, we're looking for a head, so none of these are any good now. A head and an even number. Well, 1 isn't an even number. 2 is, so that is an option there. Head and a 3, that's not even. Head and a 4 is even. Head and a 6 is even. So these are the outcomes that I'm looking for. And when I write probability, I write it as successful outcomes over total outcomes. So Sean wanted to get a head and an even number. So it's these 3 options. They would be my successful outcomes, the ones that I want, out of the total number of outcomes. Well, these are all the outcomes that could happen. So I've got 6 here and 6 there, giving me a total of 12. So we've just worked out now that the probability of getting a head and an even number is actually 3 in 12, while Shana said that it's 1 in 2. So let's cancel that down to see if it is the same. Well, what goes into both 3 and 12? 3. How many times does 3 go into 3? Once. How many times does 3 go into 12? 4 times. So we've just worked out now that the probability of getting a head and an even number is 1/4. not a half. So I now need to, I've justified my answer, I've shown all of my workings, but now I need to say that if Sian is correct. So the probability of getting a head and an even number is 1 in 4, so Sian is incorrect. Let's have a look where we'll get our marks from. So if the examiner can see that you've made an effort to complete a sample space diagram, something along the lines of this, heads and tails, the coin on one side, so this would be the coin, and this would be the dice. You'll get 1 mark just for doing that, even if you filled it in incorrectly. You'll get another mark for selecting the 3 successful outcomes, heads 2, heads 4 and heads 6. You'll get another mark for saying that it's either 3 in 12 or 1 in 4. Doesn't matter which one, you'll get a mark for showing that. And your final mark will be saying that Sian is wrong or Sian is incorrect.